Hello, and welcome to the Model Railroads and Structures Show. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Model Railroads and Structures Show. In this episode, we continue part 3 of Gillmeister Coal by Laser Modeling 3. In the previous 2 episodes, we built the coal tower base and built the coal tower itself and added the decals. In this episode, we'll be adding the roof access ladder and some other parts, so enjoy. As you can see here, I'm adding the ladders to the side of the coal tower. These are Tichy tower or Tichy ladders. They're kind of fragile because they're very accurate in their size and can break, and that's why I am attaching the ladder without painting it first. I find that if I am able to get my fingers on these things and put them on before I paint them, I'm able to come back and paint and weather them easier. I'm using a generic rust colored paint for this from Polyscale. You could use oxide red primer if you were painting this off the model. I just chose to use the Polyscale because it's brush ready, and it's what I need for this part of the process. As you can see, I added the protective cage to the ladder so that we can paint the inside of that before adding the styrene strips that'll tie it all together into the full cage. It's just a step-by-step process. And adding the final step, the styrene strip to complete the protective cage. I really like these Tichy parts because they really do look accurate. I often find in older models that you get a railing that is super duper thick and it's so apparent that it's out of scale, and it puts the whole project out of whack when you have something that's out of scale like that. These Tichy parts go a long way to helping you have a quality end product. So I took my time painting the ladder, and as you can see, it is completed. It's completed with paint. However, it's never really complete until you've added a bit of dirt. I'm gonna go back to my MIG washes here and add them behind the ladder and to all the cracks along the ladder. This will allow the MIG washes, which isn't oil, it's kind of like a linseed oil, and it will sit in all the grooves and cracks and stuff. It will also darken the middle parts of the pieces, but it congregates to the cracks and creases, and that's what makes this weathering solution so perfect for this job. And like I said, the dirt goes everywhere, so we're gonna add some oily type dirt to our man access holes on the side of the tower here. Adding these pigments is real easy, and although you can add too much, you put a little bit on your brush and dab it off, and it really looks realistic. Much more, it's got a much different look than powder chalks, and although powdered chalks are realistic for their own purpose, this process here, I like to use these washes because it actually adds a little bit more realism than what I'm looking for in chalks. I'm adding all the washes to over the concrete, not just on the ladders, because like if your oily fingers and hands, or the creosote on your boots from walking in the dirt and all that stuff, once the rain hits it, the rain will get dirty. It's not washing oil down, but the rain will get dirty, and that will color the concrete below it. And we add the plug on top. We add some oil around that because that's where we congregate there too. So now that the tower's for the most part painted, put together, and weathered, it's time to start adding the elevator for the coal to be brought up from the railroad to the coal tower to be stored. These are laser cut wood parts. They're in a very thin balsa wood. Using my weld bond glue, I'm going to be using the sticks provided to work these pieces of wood together. It's important to work these pieces of wood together without the paint on them, because paint will penetrate the wood and warp it. So if we glue it together and let it dry and get it all square and structural, it'll warp less, if at all even. This kit comes with a number of different styles of wood, angled iron style to mimic the iron, T-posts to the pieces I'm adding right now in between the angled irons. Adding these and gluing these to the structure before we paint it makes sure that we don't have any problems once we start adding moisture to the wood. Moving along, on top of the coal tower, we have a little shack for the machinery that pulls the elevator up and down, the pulleys and the motors and the electrical components and stuff. So on the outside of this shack, we want to weather our wood. So what I'm doing is I'm using my brass wire brush to add grain to the wood walls. I'm doing it inside the sprue because that's where I figure it is strongest. So I want to add a little bit more weathering and distress to the shack because it's going to be real old. They're not going to repair this or maintain its color over time. So I'm adding knot holes to the wood with my razor blade. Just add these in a varying different way. Sometimes I'll take a black ballpoint pen to put a dark mark in the middle of the knot hole to make it stand out. I didn't do that this time, but sometimes I do. So now you remember this is a craftsman kit. These kits go over and above what normal kits have. So this kit has the interior studs on the walls, as well as the machines. For the most part, these are going to be hidden from the outside, but they're there anyways for the realism of the model. A common practice for craftsman kits is to give you a template and have you build your wood pieces on top of the template. What I use is a piece of toothpick, and I just add a small smidgen of glue so it sticks to the paper, so that I can add all the pieces to the template and build it away to scale. This is a great way to build, and it's a great way to work on your own kits. You can just photocopy these templates and go at it. Fine Scale Miniatures kits do this as well. It's easy. So when you're done building, the glue's stuck to the paper, so you just grab the part and pull the paper away from the part. It actually pulls away really easily if you add just a smidgen of glue. As you can see, I painted the elevator oxide red primer. I'm using Depot Buff for my off yellow colors, and I'm using Tamiya an army colored tan green for the engine parts. As you can see, a lot of effort was put into adding interior detail parts to this utility shed on top of the tower. It has the pulleys, the motors, the shafts, the power panels. Everything goes on the inside of this thing. I opted to paint the wood deck and the steel frame underneath it with the Depot Buff because the colors really ended up fitting, and it added a nice contrast to the build. A Depot Buff is an odd looking color that isn't a plain primary color of some sort, so it adds a lot of interest, and when you start adding dirt to it, it adds a lot of realism to the color. Also, I didn't want to add oxide red to the metal as people usually do, because it would have started adding too much red to the mix. For the walls of the shack, I added a gray color base coat so that a lot of the, so that I could come back with a sponge and sponge on some of my overcolor. I'm using concrete color for the wall paint, and as you can see, I'm using a tight celled sponge to just dab on some paint. You don't want to add super wet paint to the sponge, as it'll add too much to the wall. What I like to do is dab it out and get the color to just do kind of a dry brush or a dry dabbing of the paint onto the wall, so that it doesn't add too much texture within the paint. I just want to make it look like it's been peeling off for a number of years. So friends, that takes care of another episode of the Gillmeister Coal build. In the next episode, we're going to be building the base, adding the coal bunker, as you can see, and doing a bunch of other stuff. Maybe we'll even get into building the way house itself. Lots of interior detail parts are left to be added. Lots of interesting scenic parts to be added to this build. Craftsman kits aren't just a kit, aren't just a building, they're the whole scene, the whole enchilada, as they say. So until next time, thank you for watching. If you're not a subscriber already, please subscribe. It'll give you a hint of when I'm releasing another video. If you like the video, press like if you would like. If you have a comment, please comment on the video. Each week we do model building sessions where I'll be building parts of the Gillmeister Coal. You can view those and comment using the Q&A plugin that Hangouts has and all that jazz. So have a great day, and thank you for watching my videos.